watching Barnstable This Morning. I'm Sarah Colvin, and joining me in studio, Glenn Cannon, Technical Services Director for the Cape Cod Commission. Glenn, good morning.
Good morning, Sarah.
How are you today?
Excellent, excellent.
Thank you so much for coming back in to talk with us about a variety of transportation projects around, and we are in the roadwork season. So much stuff going on. We were just talking off the air. I know this is not on my list, but wanted to talk about the Route 28 Bearse Way project. I know that's going to get underway soon, and definitely going to have some impact for a lot of people who travel through that intersection on a daily basis.
Correct. They were a little bit behind with the paperwork, didn't get a full jump on this fall season, so I haven't seen anything happening out there right now, but they will be underway soon on that project. I think they'd start some probably off the road work, certainly some of the surveying work that needs to be done this fall, and then really get into it in the spring. It will have a lot of impacts for the town of Barnstable. That's a significant intersection right there, a major intersection into downtown Hyannis. And then also, do remember, it isn't just the intersection. They're working all the way back to the Cape Cod Mall traffic light, particularly where those pedestrian fatalities had happened. So they're making improvements there to help make it easier for pedestrians to cross, but that's going to have a big impact on the town. There's no doubt about it.
Absolutely. But, knowing the neighborhoods that are on one side, I'm throwing my pen everywhere, and then the mall, there are a lot of people who do. There's a lot of walking traffic in that area. So to make sure that the controls are there to keep the pedestrians safe certainly is so super important.
Correct. And I give MassDOT a lot of credit on that for a couple of fronts. One, it started out as just an intersection project, and then we did have the pedestrian fatalities there, and they agreed to extend the limits, which is a good thing. And they also made it much safer for pedestrians. Many times we criticize MassDOT for being auto-oriented, but this time they really did step it up and focus on the pedestrians and trying to make it safer.
Absolutely. Let's talk moving on to talk more about pedestrian access, Hyannis Transportation Center to the harbor, of course. Again, another corridor in which a lot of people walk, a lot of people bike. So talk to me a little bit about what the thoughts are for improving pedestrian travel between those two key locations.
Sure. So certainly key locations for the region. I think particularly if you're talking about non-automobile travel too. One of the big things, if you talk to travelers who come down to the region, they come into the Hyannis Transportation Center, they want to walk down to the harbor. They come out of the transportation center, they walk down to the first intersection, Main Street and Center Street. There's no pedestrian push button there. I mean, it's a pretty easy fix on that end. So that's something we need to look at, make sure it can be incorporated in, working with the town, make sure it's in their budget. We also want to move down to Old Colony Road. I think that's a bigger issue right now. There's a sidewalk there, but you also have 3 lanes of traffic. We really don't have the volume of traffic to necessitate 3 lanes. So we're going to look at narrowing those lanes, or even maybe eliminating one of the lanes and then making a wider sidewalk, making it easier for people to walk, make that pedestrian corridor more viable for the town. I think that's a good thing overall.
Sure.
And then we come down to South Street in Old Colony and the 5-legged intersection. We also think that there can be pedestrian improvements there, though. Not motor vehicle improvements. I want to stress that because we don't have that solution for that intersection yet. We've been looking at it for a long time. We've floated a couple ideas out there. None of them have been well received. But we do think for pedestrians we can make it easy to cross that intersection and make it more viable for people to walk between these two entities and also to walk to downtown.
Absolutely.
Let's just say it's all connected together, and we need to make sure that that's viable because we have a lot of people who want to do it, and we don't want to persuade people from not doing it either. If there are visitors who are coming to our area and they want to be walking around in this area, I think we want to. I know I've talked to people at Town Hall here who said they want to capture everyone who walks from the Hyannis Transportation Center down to the harbor. They want the tourists, the visitors, to be spending their money in downtown.
Definitely.
So we want to make it easier for them to access the shops and the things that we have to offer downtown.
For sure. And knowing I walk through that intersection, South Street, the final 5-legged intersection all the time, and it's so confusing is when I should go, when I can't go. So definitely looking forward to seeing some pedestrian improvements.
And we definitely think we can make it simpler for folks to be able to navigate that intersection.
Absolutely. Let's talk about the airport rotary, another kind of interesting area. Now, there's going to be some bigger improvements coming in the next few years as we're still waiting for funding on that. But when we talk about retrofit of the airport rotary, what's that all about?
Correct. So on the bigger front, replacing the airport rotary, we do have a plan for it. It is probably years away right now due to funding. It's a very significant funding, millions of dollars. But in the meantime, we think with paint and signage, we can improve the airport rotary, make it better for pedestrians and bicyclists and motorists, make it a little bit easier, give them more information as they're entering in, lane configurations, trying to keep people in their own lane so they know which lane they should be in. Very confusing in any rotary. In reality, what you're trying to do too is you're also trying to make these rotaries more like roundabouts. Roundabouts are slower, they're safer, and believe it or not, they're actually higher capacity because of the frequency of gaps. Is very technical. Frequency of gaps is more gaps. You can fit more cars in those gaps as opposed to a rotary when people are driving very fast.
Right.
So we want to slow them down a little bit, make it safer for them, make it better for the congestion there. We think we can do that with paint and lines. It won't be the final solution.
Right.
But it will be an interim solution, to make it safe for people right now.
Absolutely.
And so we're hoping to work on that this fall and get that underway.
Great. Let's talk a little bit about the Canal area study, jumping around a little bit. There's been a lot of talk about this. Where are we? Where's the conversation going in the Canal area?
Correct. This is a MassDOT-led project, not a Cape Cod Commission-led project. I want to make sure I'm clear on that. We're assisting them. We're not leading the project. And it's it's a very complicated project with a lot of different entities. They have been doing a lot of the background work, and we've been helping with the background work. They're finally getting ready to start presenting alternatives, though. Hopefully it's going to be this fall or early winter, where we're really going to see what they're contemplating for, a crossing of the canal and then the changes to the approaches to the canal. So big changes coming in there. We waited a long time for it. They've done a lot of work to it, and a lot of work is required. Let's not kid ourselves. I say the Cape Cod Commission is not leading it. I know it's $1 million effort for this project. So. The Cape Cod Commission doesn't have those kind of resources. But we're very interested to see what's happening, again, to keep assisting them. But I think, you're going to probably see things that are going to be in the front page in the newspaper soon when they talk about alternatives at the canal. It affects everyone. So people do need to be aware and to see what's going on there. Absolutely,
keeping an eye on that. Back to Barnstable, Route 28, Cotuit Corridor, another area being studied. Let's talk a little bit about some of those issues.
Correct. That's one we're going to be undertaking again this fall with the town of Barnstable to look at that Route 28 in Cotuit, particularly at Route 130, Main Street, and then Cotuit Road right there, particularly those intersections, and then the walkability along there. We've already done the traffic counts, we've done the background information, the data collection. It's probably time to get out in front of residents there to see what they want to have happen, and then what MassDOT will allow us to do. That's all. I think that's always our role, really, is to find that balancing act between what residents are looking for, what MassDOT will allow, and then coming to some kind of compromise to get improvements for the residents out there. I know it's been long overdue. We went back in the springtime, if you can recall, we had a discussion with the Joint Transportation Committee of which corridor we're going to look at. We really decided on Route 28. It hadn't been looked at. I don't think it's been looked at since I've been here, and I've been here for 17 years.
Wow.
So yeah, I know. So I don't think it's ever really had a comprehensive look, not to my knowledge. Spot looks, but never a comprehensive look. So, we really need to undertake that, and I think it's time for that section to be looked at.
Definitely. Well, Glenn, indeed, did you have something else?
Well, I was going to say, I think with Route 130 and Route 28, the last time I'd have to look back to see my records when the last time that intersection was looked at, but I think it was over 20 years ago.
Absolutely, and a very busy intersection, that Route 130, 28. Lots of people going through all year-round.
Correct. And that's one thing. It isn't just like a summertime impact project. This is a year-round project. It affects residents continuously.
Exactly, and has impacts, as you're heading towards that intersection, traffic impacts on both sides of it. So,
correct.
Good stuff. Well, Glenn, I thank you so much for stopping by and giving us the update.
Oh, no problem. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Glenn Cannon, Technical Services Director for the Cape Cod Commission. For Barnstable This Morning, I'm Sarah Colvin.